I feel anxious for our children to excel in mathematics, for there lays the foundation of every science. Again, I would say to the teacher, watch the children's inclination to study, and you will discover whether the mechanic, musician, or orator is in embryo before you. The great world of letters is open to women, and those that have leisure know not, until perused, the pleasure derived from good books as companions. There is no scandal, no backbiting, no recrimination, no criticisms of surroundings, and when you close the book, then put your reflections on paper. How the intellect expands, and what treasures of thought are thus garnered. Semper Fidelis. Dear women, do not sigh for a large circle of acquaintances. They consume valuable time, and when we remember, we must render an account for the use of it. We may well tremble. I read an advertisement one day which was very striking. Lost, 1 golden hour with 60 silver minutes. No reward is offered, as they cannot be found.
I'm broke and I ain't got a dime. I'm broke and I ain't got a dime.
Mr. Trask tells me to inform you that he does not hold the same sentiments as myself in regard to the use of cold water as a beverage.
I think water most excellent for mining purposes, but for a drink, altogether too cold for me.
Consequently, our opinions clash. Mr. Trask and I went out for a walk the other day, and as we were going on the other side of Mud Hill, our way was directly through town. Shortly after leaving our place, we crossed a rivulet. Mr. Trask advised me to stop and drink. As it was my favorite beverage, nothing loath, I complied, put my face down to the water, and drank right heartily, and on we went. On the street yesterday, I passed a group of little girls engaged in earnest conversation. The eldest of the group of 6 I judged to be about 10 years of age, and the other ages varying from that down to 4. The eldest said, "My children shall never drink whiskey." As words passed her lips, I involuntarily turned to view the face, and I saw written there what God never designed should mar the face of childhood: sadness, utterable sadness. Thinking of her face and words, I stopped to call on a friend, making some inquiries. I soon had a history common to California, but so fearful as to make it no more endurable by being an everyday occurrence. The parents of this girl came to California from Connecticut 7 years ago, both endowed with superior mental and physical constitutions, with hopes and considerable money. They commenced a life of pleasure, business, prospered, and both being very social, they soon had hosts of friends around them. Social parties, with wine in abundance, was before them, and it was not long before champagne suppers began to tell on the father. Business was neglected. A failure ensued. They then changed their location, but the habit was too firmly fixed to be affected by change. And soon poverty, with its attendant ills, was theirs. The mother died, the father is a confirmed drunkard, and the children are without a protector.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child.
This is an everyday occurrence in California. If the aching, breaking, and broken hearts were weighed in the same scale with the gold would fly up light as air, while the hearts would weigh down, down, down. Nothing can be more pleasant than a ride from Nevada City to Colfax in pleasant weather. And nothing more uncomfortable than that drive of 12 miles at this season of the year. Be it known to all who visit our city that the coaches are strong, carrying the complement inside and a deck load on the outside. And though the coach will creak like a ship in a storm and sometimes nearly overturns, never fear. Johnny Royce, our driver, he will see you are in time for the cars. From the halfway house to Colfax, the scenery is unsurpassed and would please the eye of the artist. Bear River and the road winding up the hills like the old Roman labyrinth has but one beginning and one ending. No chance to turn on crossroads, but a succession of corners turned, this a little higher than the last. And so we have reached the top. You can look back and see the Bear River like a small streak of silver, and the road just past like a long serpent. Colfax is a small place. Its chief beauty is its name. Yet, it is a place of importance to us Nevadians as the depot for our county, our nearest approach to the Pacific Railroad, that great guide of civilization when carried over that road by the iron horse and contemplating the greatness of its structure, who does not have a heart full of gratitude to the Father of mercies that they have been permitted to live in this age? Railroad monopoly is the great scarecrow of today. I only wish from my heart we had the railroad monopoly and all here in Nevada City, that the Central Pacific Railroad is a blessing none can deny. I never had a free ride on the Central Pacific Railroad, and I never expected to. But when I'm on that road, I feel proud to live in an age and among people who could build it. And I feel that they ought to be rich, and I ought to rejoice in their prosperity. So you see, I don't endorse the anti-railroad resolution platform. Mr. Editor, I have just read Georgia has ratified the 15th Amendment. I can't keep still. No use trying. I have cried, hurrah, hurrah! And our old gobbler has responded with a tigger every time.
Hurrah! Hurrah! Victory!
All alone, no one to talk to, and ready to collapse. I was thankful for the turkey's attention. So, Mr. Editor, California can sit and weep that she cannot stay the tide of progress? And 50 years hence in history, won't the present legislature and governor of state appear to our people as long-eared horses? Now, please, don't, Mr. Editor, allow anyone to think I expect to vote. I shall never do it unless compelled to. I am so glad Mr. Trask can vote, and I will watch him, and woe to him if he should be caught voting the Democratic ticket. I am done with the party this year, and I am looking to find consolation elsewhere. I can find no resting place among Democrats. They, having the week before in a convention here, denounce railroad monopoly, Chinese immigration, and Republican rule generally. I'm not afraid of the Chinese, but believe God will make plain our duty to them if we desire to do it. So you see, the anti-Chinese plank of the platform, I don't endorse. And I sincerely believe the same loving Father who has just brought us from oppression now tries us by bringing us in contact with them. And how apparent the lesson we learned to remember those bonds as being bound with them. A friend in Marysville told me he was opposed to a 1st of January celebration, believing we ought to let all recollection of former years die out. I have thought much of his words since. I must say I think them altogether wrong. It is an established fact that our appreciation of everything is commensurate with its cost, and our fathers well understood that fact, and so gathered every item of the great struggle that gave America her independence, gave it to us in history, for our schools, in paintings, for our parlors, and monuments for our public squares, and still fearing or forgetful, they even keep the great anniversary day, July 4th, and decreed it should be celebrated by American citizens to all coming time. Now, have we not more to remember than they? What was the oppression of the British yoke compared to slavery? Was there ever anything so unhuman, so devilant as American slavery? Could the graves of its victims open and their dead come forth? Think they would say, cease to remember? No, their words would be, cry aloud to your children and children's children. Remember, never forget what liberty cost. Never forget Emancipation Day. Never forget the immortal Lincoln, who by God's permission gave us that great day, which has brought together many long-separated families, husbands and wives, parents and children, which cruel slavery separated.